Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Greater Meaning Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Andrew, with Nathan.
And Josh.
And Josh. Hi, I'm Josh.
And together we take you through the stories of the Bible from beginning to end in chronological order. Coming off of a pretty big episode, Jacob wrestling with God. In the last episode, we found that Jacob, at the height of his existential struggle, he struggled to find peace at home. He struggled to find peace at work with his uncle. He struggled to find peace anywhere in his whole life. He was always in constant battle and struggle. And on his journey home, Jacob anticipated that his older brother Esau would come with a vengeance with 400 men, surely intending to destroy him. With all this weighing on his mind, Jacob encounters a divine figure and wrestles with him until daybreak, refusing to let him go until he received the blessing. After receiving the blessing and a new name, Israel, we continue the story with Jacob lifting his eyes to see his brother coming from afar off. Nathan, if you could start us off, we're going to just quick intro. This is going to be a very interesting episode, but I do want to disclaimer it just a little bit. There will be some adult themes, some very sensitive topics brought up in this course of the stories that are going to continue, specifically with the Dinah incident that's going to follow Jacob's encounter with Esau. Yeah, if you got little kids listening or if there's anything like that, I would advise.
Stay away.
No, don't stay away, but, the Bible covers some very adult topics, some very adult themes.
It's the Bible. You're going to have to face it at some point.
Yeah, this isn't the first time that we're covering anything like this. It's just there will be subject matter that we're going to cover in depth that might be sensitive to some people.
If you thought there was only love and peace and kindness in the Bible, well, I don't know what Bible you've been reading, but my Bible has a lot of what?
The Bible is real. It covers the reality of humanity and all the things that happen in this life, the good and the bad, the correct decisions we make and the ramifications of incorrect decisions.
Here's the thing. The Bible doesn't have a disclaimer, okay? There's no disclaimer on the Bible. Whenever I open up the Bible to start reading, it doesn't say, hey, disclaimer, just to let you know, this story is a little bit on the wild side, so just if you're reading with kids, don't let them read that. But no, what we do is we give little Bibles to little kids and say, hey, go read. And then they end up reading something like that. It's like, what in the world's going on here? What happened to Dinah? What happened to Dinah, Papa? Dinah!
Someone was in the kitchen with Dinah. Someone was in the kitchen, I know.
Josh, so you're telling
Someone's
me...
in the kitchen with Dinah.
So you're telling me that when
you... on the old banjo.
I've never heard this song.
So
you're telling me, Josh, when you put your girls to bed and you read them the story or you try to read them the Bible, that you straight up like, all right, so let's open the Genesis chapter 34. There's this character named Dinah.
Yeah, you know what? That's their bedtime story every night.
All right, let's get into the episode. I'm really excited. I mean, Jacob's journey, he had a life-changing encounter. He's completely different, or at least he's seeing things to a new perspective. His name has been changed. He had an encounter with God and was blessed.
He's going to encounter his Yeti brother.
He literally, after this, he just looks up.
The hairiest man ever to live, Esau.
Nathan, if you could read it from Genesis chapter 33, verses 1 through 3.
That's a lot of verses. All right.
3?
Now Jacob lifted his eyes and looked, and there Esau was coming, and with him were 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and 2 maidservants. And he put the maidservants and their children in front, Leah and her children behind, and Rachel and Joseph last. Then he crossed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother, Esau.
Interesting.
Esau.
Esau. Oh, I got a lot on this.
All right, so Josh, I'm going to let you start us off.
Got a lot on
him saying hi or what?
The first part?
Yeah. The whole him dividing into separate parts, right? So
it's kind of interesting. He literally it's like it's chosen in order of who he cares about most.
Exactly. He's choosing favorites, and he's making it clear to everybody, not just his people, but he's also making it clear to Esau as well. Like, hey, if you want to kill somebody, kill these people first. I don't care so much about them. And then it just goes on and on. So we got the 2 maidservants, their children. You got Leah and her children. And then you got Rachel and Joseph. So you have the 1, 2, 3 order right there of him splitting it up. And then what makes it even more interesting is not only does he send these people go first, Jacob goes in front of all of them and then he has, right, as his backup, like, hey, if you're going to kill me and then you're going to go in order, at least Rachel and Joseph have some time to like run away real fast while everybody else is getting slaughtered. So he leaves that up.
Esau coming with like 400 men. Like he doesn't know Esau's intentions.
Well, that's another interesting. So as we get into the story of them meeting, Esau came with the pure intention of murder. All right, the fact that he shows up with armed men on this journey to go meet with Jacob, if he came with gifts, it would have been a different story, right? But if he came with armed men, just the fact that he came with the armed men is like, I'm ready to attack you. Like I'm ready for this.
You think so?
I mean, it has to be. It doesn't make any other sense. If I show up to your house with a bunch of men in black suits and guns, it ain't because I'm trying to be friendly with you, Andrew. It's because I'm trying to, probably put a hit on you or get you real scared.
I mean, I think it might just be like, Jacob came with a bunch of gifts to try to appease, like trying to show his wealth and how much he's grown up until now. Maybe Esau that's to show the power of how he's grown. Because remember that Jacob left taking the blessing and the birthright. And maybe Esau was like, oh, let me show him that everything turned out good for me too. It would have been taken incorrectly because it's not like he would have known like, oh, Esau just wants to show you that he's doing good things.
I get it. But here it kind of hits on a past event, and with that past event, it ties in with kind of what I'm talking about. But so as he's going to meet with Esau, he bows 7 times, and the 7 times is like, while I was reading that, I was like, why 7 times? Like I get the whole,
completion?
Yes. So with bowing 7 times as he came near, so he didn't bow. It's not like he came all the way up to him and then bow 7 times. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. I think that was 7. But he didn't do that all together.
That wasn't
I don't know.
7 times he said boom.
Boom, boom, boom. It was a gradual as he was progressing towards him, and doing that back in the day, it was a sign of respect to a lord. In the Egyptian tablets, there's another to kind of show why he was doing what he did. It was in that time in the Egyptian tablets of the Tel Mamre, right? It writes of a story of a Canaanite king writing a letter to Pharaoh saying, at the feet of the king, my lord, 7 times and 7 times do I fall. So basically him saying like, I bow down 7 times to you. 7 times.
So it was like, it was like a sign of respect.
It was a sign of respect, but it's also like how you do it. So even the number 7 in the Hebrew Bible, it was like how you said, it symbolizes completion. You see, when Naaman when he was told to go wash in the Jordan, he was told to go dip his whole body in the Jordan 7 times. When Joshua marched around Jericho, he marched around 7 times. Even in Leviticus, God made the world in 7. In
the only
whole
story
7
that we've
thing.
done up until now that has 7.
Yes, and then even in Leviticus, we're gonna see, like later on when we get to it, we're going to see that the priests, whenever they do all their acts of, of pouring oil or anything they do, the majority of times they do it 7 times in a row. So for some reason, God does things with this sign of completion with 7 times. It just, for some reason, that's how it's working out. So Jacob is gradually getting closer and closer, and he's doing this far away because it shows that Esau, in the next part that we're going to read, Esau ends up coming up to him and running to him. So he's like, Jacob, after he did his 7th bow, he was still far away from him, far enough for Esau to have to like run to him and embrace him. So
yeah,
that's the whole thing with the number 7. It was a very interesting, that the fact of why he did it so many times. I don't know. It was cool.
I mean, it's interesting to note that 7, you're right, it comes up a lot throughout the Bible. So it's interesting that he just did that naturally. I guess it was like part of the culture too. Like
7 turtles.
Well, what I wanted to say is that with this story, why this story is so important, because this is the beginning of Israel, right? So this is he is Israel now, but this is the very beginning.
This is the first thing that Israel does.
Yes. And it's very important because this ties in with the Cain and Abel story. So this story, apparently, for a lot of theologians and believers, it's supposed to be basically like that Jacob and Esau were in a position to kind of restore the murder of Abel by Cain. To make things right for the children of God. So not for all of humanity, but for the children of God, this moment was a crucial moment at the beginning of Israel. Because Esau could have chosen to kill Jacob, and then this whole story would have, God would have had to do all this over again. But he didn't.
It's been a different story.
Esau didn't kill him.
And Esau, as we can clearly see, likes to roll 400 deep with killers on them streets.
Hey, Abraham liked to roll 300 deep.
Man.
Well, I mean, he had more than 300, just trained, right? But
yeah, but he liked to roll with them 300.
Esau, he's coming. There are definitely some contrasts between brother and brother reuniting, one being accepted by God, the other one being rejected by God, and unifying.
It's almost the same story.
Except how it ends. I mean, Nathan, if you continue to read the next couple of verses, if you read verses, I think
except how it ends, exactly.
4:11, it doesn't end with Esau stoning his brother, and he wouldn't have. I mean, if he would have killed him, it's kind of like saying then God wasn't with. God promised that He would be with Jacob. Remember, we covered that with the whole Jacob's ladder, like God coming out and showing that He is with him and that He's going to protect him. And the covenant they made there, if you will protect me, then you will be my God, right? So, and then God has obviously taken care of him with Laban up until this point, even though Laban tried to screw him over and over again, and He protected him throughout any situation he's been through. So a
prophecy is a prophecy, but it's not necessarily a telling of the future.
No, there's a difference between the prophecy and the blessing coming from the word of the Lord saying, I will be with you. That's completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, I
will
get
be.
That.
So that's the point of this whole story, is that because God said that, and because He's with them, He's good.
Well, what if
Jacob
Esau
doesn't
killed
believe
him? What if Esau killed him, and then what would have happened to God's word, huh?
Well, that's the thing. It didn't, and it didn't happen. But Jacob doesn't believe that either. At this point, Jacob's lining up his family, expecting the worst, and trying to create all these contingencies. Like, all right, they could die first, and at least these guys will get away. And maybe Leah won't get away, but Rachel, the real one, will. She'll you know what I mean?
And
like
Joseph will survive.
Joseph.
Hey, Joseph's important.
Hey,
let's read.
But read from verse 4 through 11 real quick.
All right. And last we left him, Jacob was bowing 7 times.
I think we covered that extensively.
By the way, the number set. I'm just All right, let's go. Verse 4. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him. And they wept. Fell on his neck. And he lifted his eyes and saw the woman and children and said,
Wait.
With you?
Why is this whole thing falling on your neck?
It was a sweet moment, a brother embracing. Why do you have to make it weird?
Fell on his. How do you fall on your neck?
He just like you know when you grab somebody and you hug them and you put your head on their shoulder, your head's technically leaning against their neck.
Oh, that's what that. I thought he fell on his neck.
No,
I thought he literally fell.
Yeah, whoever translated this version needed to do a better job, because I envisioned just Esau jumping out the ground on his neck.
Yeah, you know, I have neck issues, so I could vouch for that. All right.
Oh, wow.
So he said, the children whom God has graciously all right, let's start it over. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted that in rhyme. And he lifted his eyes and saw the women and children and said, who are these with you? So he said, the children whom God has graciously given your servant. Then the maidservants came near, they and their children, and bowed down. And Leah also came near with her children, and they bowed down. Afterward, Joseph and Rachel came near. Well, what did they do? And they bowed down. Then Esau said, what do you mean by all this company which I met? And he said, these are to find favor in the sight of my Lord. But Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself. And Jacob said, No, please. If I have now found favor in your sight, then receive my present from my hand. Inasmuch as I have seen your face as though I have seen the face of God, and you were pleased with me. Please take my blessing that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. So he urged him, and he took it. So essentially, Jacob's like, I have these gifts. And Esau's like, I don't need your gifts. Like, come on, take it. And he's like, I don't need it. Come on, just take it. It's good. Just take it.
We have a beautiful reunion. I mean, it's exactly the opposite of what Jacob expected. And like you said, Josh, what if? But what ends up happening is,
come on,
is they come together tearfully and they reunite and they meet each other's families. You have to think it's been 20 plus or somewhat. I mean, it was 7 and 7, and who knows how many more years he spent with them. But it 14 plus years it's been since they've seen each other. These are twins. I don't know if you know anything about twins, but twins are very close.
More than 14.
That's what I'm saying.
20 years.
That's what I said. I don't know the exact.
One of them clearly looks different than the other.
It's fraternal twins. But they were born together.
One of them looks like a bear. I mean, it's that hairy, dude. He took the cloak of an animal. It was like, oh, this is Esau, obviously.
He's everything you want in a warrior. Esau not only is this big, hairy berserker dude that can carry a sword, but he can also shoot arrows at you quite precisely. Actually, I don't know how precise he was. Maybe he was a terrible archer.
He was an archer that was great.
He was known as the archer.
Maybe.
I'm just kidding.
No.
Maybe.
His uncle was known as the archer.
No, Esau was known as the archer, and so was it. That's how they bonded. Remember, I said when they went.
Yeah,
together?
Nahor was the archer. He was an Egyptian archer.
Ishmael was an archer.
Ishmael, yes.
And then Esau went. Remember, he took a third wife to try to please his parents and went to Ishmael, and they probably bonded because they were both archers. But it's just awesome to see that all that worry and all that strife ended up coming to the point where God showed His grace even through this reuniting, like He said. Because that was the big thing with the promise that he made, or the covenant that Jacob made with God, was that if you will protect me, if you'll provide for me, if you will, keep me safe by the time I come back, then you will be my God. And God is showing that He is with them again and again everywhere. And this is it's awesome that this is the first thing that happens after his encounter. God wins him over. God changes his name. God shifts his direction, his perspective on everything that he's been dealing with up until that point. All he's known is struggle. And after his encounter with God, the first thing that he experiences is a peaceful reunion with his brother. Something he never thought he would get. He thought his brother would never forgive him. But remember, Jacob's on a journey right now because God spoke to him and said, go back to the land of your fathers. That's where Isaac is, where Abraham was. He said, go back to this area. And Jacob was on his way. But Nathan, I want you to continue to read the story because the way it ends is a little bit different than I think most people realize what ends up happening next. Josh, do you have something to say before we continue?
Yeah, I just remember with Abram, God changed his name to Abraham and Sarai to Sarah. Well, Jacob, his name got changed to Israel. What I don't get is why through the continuation of the story, does it continue to just say Jacob and not Israel?
That's a good question, and I honestly I didn't. I knew you were going to ask that question, and I didn't find an answer yet.
That's your fault. You're supposed to find the answers. That's your job. I bring up the questions. You bring up the answers.
Isn't Israel a country?
Israel is the name of the nation, but he changed his name to Israel. His name will be Israel, just like Abraham's name was changed. And it's funny because there are points whenever when he's called Israel and when he's called Jacob, it goes back and forth throughout the next couple of chapters, especially in the story.
Yes, but the author, it's the author of this because it's right. We kind of agree that it was Moses. Kind of. I can't 100% say.
Yeah, that's the off the cuff answer I can give. Is so it doesn't, because Moses is writing to like from the perspective that there's already a nation of Israel, to not confuse a whole, to distinguish that individual person as opposed to the name that eventually the nation wouldn't adopt.
That's kind of what I was thinking as well. That it was for the sake of not confusing people.
Yes, because Israel was a country when Moses wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that's our potential short answer of maybe that's what it could be.
Let us know what the reason is for you. At greatermeaningpodcast@gmail.com. That's greatermeaningpodcast@gmail.com.
Do you know Jesus was Jewish?
I mean,
Anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah, read from 12 if you could. 12 to 20, please. Not 12 to 20.
17.
17, sorry.
Then Esau said, "Let us take our journey, let us go, and I will go before you." But Jacob said to him, "My Lord knows the children are weak, and the flocks and herds which are nursing are with me. And if the men should drive them hard, one day all the flock will die. Please let my Lord go on ahead before his servant. I will lead on slowly at a pace which the livestock that go before me and the children are able to endure, until I come to my Lord in Seir. And Esau said, "Now let me leave with some of the people who are with me." But he said, "What need is there? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord." So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir, and Jacob journeyed to Succoth.
That doesn't sound any better.
Succoth. Built himself a house and made booths for his livestock. Therefore, the name of the place is called Succoth.
Succoth. I don't know. I think saying suck off. You knew guys. Before
Aren't you gonna suck off,
Josh? Why?
I said suck off.
I was trying to.
Hey, you're the one that put it. You put a disclaimer at the beginning of this episode, so this is your fault.
We're gonna have to cut that out.
Why?
You can't make a suck off joke in the middle of the podcast.
It's the name. Therefore, the name of the place.
Yeah,
is
but
called
the joke. It's a
what
little
joke?
The joke.
They did go to suck off.
For some reason,
They went to suck off. Can you just leave it at that? Listen, if you guys have your mind in the gutter, take it out of the gutter, okay? All right.
Guys, we're adults here, and
so here's the problem with this story. We got Jacob tricking his brother once again. But there's a twist to this. It might be not a deceiving thing almost at all.
Because Jacob journeyed to suck off.
Stop laughing when you say it.
I'm not laughing. I'm just saying what went to Seir.
The thing here is Jacob makes a clear distinction because a lot of people, when they read this, it's like, oh, Jacob's doing it again. He's tricking his brother again. He said that, hey, you don't have to, let's not go together. I'll just meet you there. And he doesn't go there. He actually goes to a completely different area and builds himself a house, builds himself a whole new life and everything.
Oh, wait, no, the other way.
So, yeah, we should talk about this. This is very important, even though you guys distracted me with the whole Sukkoth. I'm going to call it Sukkoth.
Is it Sukkoth? Is that how you pronounce it?
I'm going to make it up that's what it is now.
It's not pronounced. It doesn't. It's so I looked up the pronunciation.
Do it. Tell it. What is it?
I'm going to look it up right now.
This is what we're stopping on right now. We're not going further until we get this pronunciation.
Well, it's Succoth. What I have in my
Sukkoth.
In my English Bible. What is it?
Sukkoth. Why is that funny? It's not funny.
Sukkoth. That's what the name of the city was.
All right.
Come to Sukkoth.
What's the other name?
Either way, Jacob shouldn't have been there. That's all. But let's just go ahead and just mark that out first. All right. Jacob was supposed to go back to the land in which where his fathers dwelt.
Why don't they name cities like Detroit? You know what I mean? Like back then. Why are they naming these weird...
Sukkoth means
Sukkoth.
Sukkoth means shelter. That's the name of the word. It's a place where he went. And what's interesting is that he arrived safely, and it's near a city named Shechem. And this is actually what's interesting is that when we continue on, this will be one of the only places we see that Jacob actually buys land.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
near Shechem.
Well, maybe as he was traveling, he just hit a great deal, and he was like, "Yeah, why not? Let's just stop here." What I wanted to say.
He wasn't supposed to be there. It's very important that we obey God's commandment to the very end. I'm prefacing this because of what we're about to talk about. That's the only thing I'm saying now. Continue.
I get that. The whole deceiving thing, what I wanted to hit on, was that it could not have been a deceiving thing. It could have been Jacob clearly stating to his brother, basically, like, hey, like, I love you. I'm happy that we have this moment that we've embraced each other and that we've accepted, each other's flaws and blah, 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 and that we're cool again. but you have your life, I have my life, and I have no intention of rejoining together fully and living together in the same camp. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's that. There's also, he probably still didn't trust his brother fully because he's a very mistrusting person. Maybe his brother is just trying to get him vulnerably back to his, complete camp and then pretty much take everything that's his. Or maybe he just didn't want to see his father yet. Remember that the last time he saw his dad, who he does respect, he just straight up deceived and lied, and he'd have to confront his father, and
that's true.
Come to grips with that. That's a tough conversation. I don't think that he was ready for that, and he was ready to kind of like go through that.
You're
and
right.
And the way he talks to his brother, he's just kind of like, "Come on, let's go back together." He's like, I have weaning children. I don't want to drive my herd too hard, otherwise they'll die. He's like, okay, but at least let me leave you some servants.
Well, those are all valid points.
If you really like, if I found favor, I'm so happy about this. This is great. What's between me and you? This is awesome. We're like this now. Just go on. I'm right behind you, buddy. Just, we'll see each other in like a day. And literally beelines it for Sukkoth. And
yeah, well, how long did he build that house for? Because he
made a dwelling
nowadays,
there. Yeah.
Well, he built a whole house and a house for their livestock. So to do that, I mean, if you were to do that nowadays, you're looking at probably 6 months to a year, right? To build a house of that, that size, or actually even larger. This had to be a huge mansion.
Yeah, it was a villa.
It was enough to...
I keep touching the mic.
I'm just moving it back and forth because it sounds better whenever you're talking. It's facing you.
Okay. I mean, it's just very weird. It's like the weirdest thing to keep seeing something.
Listen, we don't have our own guy to hold a boomstick above our heads as we're talking and switch it from person to person. So this is what we got. We got Andrew being the boom man.
He invested in real estate there, eh?
He did. He buys a plot of land from Hamor, a very important figure here. Father is Shechem, pinches his tent there, and buying it, I mean, this means that he's planning to chill there for a while. And
this is in Sukkah.
Yeah, near Shechem. I mean, this is also going to be the area of land wherever Jacob's well will be, where actually later in John chapter 4, Jesus meets the Samaritan woman. So it's a very important
This is
area.
where he meets her? In Shechem?
Near Shechem. Over
Near
there,
Shechem?
I believe.
How much did he buy it for?
It doesn't tell us.
5
Well,
shekels.
it does.
What? How much?
It does. It's for 100 pieces of money. So we don't really know what their currency was, but it was 100 pieces of it.
And he bought a piece of land which he had from for 100 pieces of money, whatever the currency was at that time.
It does say 100 pieces of money.
He erected an altar there and called it Elohe, which means the strong God of Israel is our God. Is the God of Israel. Excuse me. The strong God is the God of Israel. Meaning the God of Jacob.
That's my new band name. Whenever I make a band, I'm gonna call it El Elohe.
El Elohe. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. I mean, Jacob, I just want to make something clear. Like he's always kind of halfway there. Like he's always like following God's commandments, trying to stay faithful, but also you can see where with somebody like him that's selected, that's the patriarch, that is supposed to be the representation of God, where you're putting yourself and following God's instructions to a complete T is vital for the success of your family, because God is able to see everything and he's able to control everything. He's able to know if you don't do this, this will happen. This is why I'm saying do it this way. And we're going to continue on into Genesis chapter 34 with something called the Dinah incident. Now, remember, Dinah is Dinah is one of the daughters, or is the only daughter mentioned up until this point of Jacob and Leah.
Someone might be in the kitchen with Dinah.
Yeah, cooking something not very good. So being that they're there in Sukkoth, they're next to the city of Shechem. Shechem is the name of the prince of that city. It's later going to be known as the same thing, but Hamor is the king of this city-state of Shechem. And if we go into Genesis chapter 34, we read the first 4 verses, Nathan, we're going to enter into the story. And again, we're going to cover a little sidebar story that is very sensitive. Again,
the town of Shechem, where they shank them.
They'll do something to him.
Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her, and violated her. His soul was strongly attracted to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the young woman and spoke kindly to the young woman. So Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, "Get me this young woman as a wife."
Okay, so let's stop here real quick before we continue and see what happens after this.
Woo!
We have a little bit of an incident here. There's a little bit of sexual assault that is obvious. Now, I did a lot of reading about this portion of the Bible, a lot of studies, a bunch of different people's opinions, a bunch of people's dissection of the text and reading it from the original translations and the way it's phrased and the way it's spoken about. There's a couple different things. And talking about situations like this is very sensitive because anytime somebody is taken advantage of like this, where it's like, especially where there's a power dynamic at it, there's somebody that's in a position of authority and they use that to take, liberties with somebody else. It says, against her will, we're going to go ahead and take that position, because some people believe it was something mutual between them, that he just slept with her and it was defilement before marriage. So no matter what, it was defilement, or if he used his influence and kind of persuaded her, or he just completely took it by force. Either way, this was a completely horrible or horrific act that happened to Dinah, which would have been a dishonor for her, a dishonor for her family. It would have been something that was frowned upon in all of the societies and all this, whether it was the tribe of Israel or whether it was the city of Shechem. It's one of those, like, again, moral law things. You don't do this. It's like you don't have to teach somebody in the law. Like, other than, Sodom and Gomorrah, which I think we saw how God treated them. I think they were a little bit extreme with this type of stuff. And we've talked about this before, but Dinah goes through something very interesting. And what's interesting that I want us to take in perspective as well as we go into the story, she's not very much, like, her feelings aren't very much considered. It's like, it's what happened to her and then everybody else's reaction to it. But you don't really hear a lot about Dinah herself.
So let me jump in on here first.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go here because I have a couple things here in the first 4 verses I want to go over. But
yeah, so at the very beginning, it literally, if we put it into nowadays kind of going ons. So this girl, what's her name? Dinah, right? So Dinah, she's like, I'm just gonna go and I want to go hang out with my friends. We're gonna have a girls' night. I'm just gonna go out with the daughters of the land and just gonna go hang out with these girls. So they're not Jewish; they're Canaanite women, right? So they go out, they party, they have fun. They're probably drunk. They're at a club. Next thing you know, she runs into the prince, right? So the prince is like, this cool dude's got a lot of swag. I don't even know if that's a cool word anymore, but he's got all this swag, all this money. He's got all these friends surrounding him.
He's Sigma.
What? He's Sigma.
Just no.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? He's Sigma. So he's Sigma over there. All right. And Dinah catches this guy's eye, and like with the majority of clubbers, I can't even say because I'm not really a clubber, but I just imagine, and every movie hits on it. Whenever the girls go out, then they find this guy, and then they end up like meeting. It ends up into a one-night stand. So I assume that's kind of what happened here, and they fell in love. If he's speaking like love to her and everything, I'm assuming she's receiving it. Like
he felt
from the way
caught
it's
feelings.
Yeah, he caught feelings.
He's the one that caught
afterwards,
feelings,
which is weird.
Yes, I do agree that he did catch feelings, and that might be why they left Dinah's portion out of this, because her argument the entire time was probably like, oh, he was like, don't hurt him, Daddy, don't hurt him. I love him. But this is it's not a rom-com, but this is that romance movie where the dad actually does kill the boyfriend.
All right, so hold on. Before we go into that, because there's a couple details there that are very important little bit.
Andrew's got a victim blame a little bit.
Kinda. So a lot of well, Josh is, I mean, it's kind of like that. You never want to hear, like, they have that defense for the prosecutor or whatever. It's like, well, what was she wearing? You know what I mean? She was asking for it, you know, but according to the biblical language that we have here and some research I did, there's a couple indicators that show us. Again, first of all, I want to say this right here. There's multiple people that are at fault in this incident when this incident occurs. We have to understand that, first of all, the children of Israel, the people selected by God, were not to mix with the Canaanites. Remember how important it was to Abraham whenever he sent his servant to find a wife for Isaac? Made him swear underneath his thigh, quote unquote. Like, he's like, that you don't select, and he wouldn't even leave the land that he was at or let Isaac leave so he doesn't go into the land of the Canaanites. Now you have Jacob supposedly supposed to go back to the land of his fathers, and he makes a home and buys land next to the city. And so already we're in a place where if he wasn't where he wasn't supposed to be, this type of situation would not have happened. But we also see Jacob at fault in a situation like this, in the fact that we have to look at the character of Jacob. He wasn't a very, from what I gather in reading the scripture and talking to people and talking to my dad and other things like that, like, he wasn't a very authoritative leader or really like a strong figure in his house, because he was never raised by any type of strong male role model. He was more with his mother in the tents. He was always on his own, deceptive. He never really had to he was very passive in his decision making. And so the fact that Dinah was even allowed to, quote unquote, go out and see the daughters, are like, who gave her permission? And why would she think it was okay to do that in the first place? Where was her brothers? Where was her dad? Where was her mom just allowing that to happen? When the Bible talks about the fact that she went out, you know, and the way that it introduces is also interesting. It says, now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had born to Jacob, the fact that she was called the daughter of Leah and not like the daughter of Jacob, like she is literally in the same couple verses, it signifies something there. It signifies that there's a relation that she's similar to Leah in a specific way. And the last time we see this language, went out, quote unquote, when reading that in the original Hebrew from some midrashims I read, I did a little bit of study onto like some rabbinic study of the text. That phrase, the same way whenever Leah went out, remember with the mandrakes and she purchased Jacob for a night, according to Jewish tradition, she would have dressed herself up with like jewelry, made herself look nice, and then went out, quote unquote, to meet Jacob in the field and said, hey, I got you for the night. You know what I mean? With this underlying...
She dressed provocatively.
She dressed provocatively, and it did not as much to go out to see as much as to also go out and be seen. So she probably went out with this intention, like you said, to go out with the girls, see what's up about the city life, see what's going on around there, thus putting herself in a very what's the word? There's a perilous...
When the Amish girls escape?
Put herself in a very terrible situation, essentially. Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, you go out and it's not, and again, I'm not trying to victim blame either. Like, oh, it's all her fault.
You're not trying. You are.
It's like, what was Dinah wearing? She was asking for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's.
Well, at that time, your clothing meant a lot. You could tell what somebody wanted, who somebody was by what they wore. If you were poor and you were wearing a rich man's garment, and everybody knew you were poor, sometimes in some cities that could be considered a crime as fraud.
Well, there was also like certain teachings, like for Shabbat, like there's a whole list of things in Leviticus where they're not supposed to wear certain items during Shabbat, and these things, when they quote, they're not supposed to go out wearing jewelry in order to not be provocative or to tempt other people in certain ways. And it's just, there's these little things we can pick up if we really dive and really dissect the Bible and read into a story like this. But I want to put the fault, so there's more that happens in the story, but up until now, you have Dinah, you have Jacob, you have Shechem, right? Who does these things. There isn't like, everybody's kind of like, you could have avoided this situation if you would have done this. Now, obviously, hindsight's 20/20, and she was probably young and very impressionable. But why was she? You know, the fault does fall a lot of times to the parents and the leadership of the household, and how you raise and how you instruct and how you discipline. It's like, why was she allowed to do this? Why were they even here in the vicinity to where this could be a temptation or a possibility? There's a reason Abraham was like, swear that you won't take from me. And then Esau, in their own family, they saw what it was like to take a couple Canaanite wives. It was literally tormenting Isaac and his wife to the point of death. Like, they were just like, dude, obviously the death of me. If Jacob also marries one of these, it's over. And so, I mean, it's a terrible situation. But if we look at what happens afterwards, it's weird too. The fact that the prince his soul clung to her. Like, he's like, dude, he was infatuated after that. He wanted more.
He was in love with her.
He was in love. And it was not good, because you're not supposed to mix the Canaanites with the Israelites. And they're not supposed to. God set these people apart and said not to mix.
That's
and
true,
Abraham
but
said not to
he
mix.
didn't know that.
No, he didn't. And he's doing according to his culture. I'm sure he was using his power and influence. I'm sure he didn't think of it as a bad thing. But it's interesting to contrast to what happens later in the Bible, where there's another story of sexual assaults, for lack of a better word, where David's son Amnon and forces Tamar to sleep with him. But then afterwards it says that he was like disgusted with her. He like was revolted, like he wanted to kick her out and didn't want anything to do with her and defiled her in that way. And this is the opposite. You know what I mean? This is something where he wanted to have her as a wife, and he actually goes to his dad and says, "Get her for me." So now you have the father coming to Jacob. And Nathan, if you could read to continue the story for us, if you could read from 5 to 12.
By the way, all the fault is with Shechem. Like, Dinah went out and Jacob, but like,
she's a victim. She's a victim. She's a victim.
Shechem's the one.
She was
that's
an innocent.
in the wrong.
Let me clarify. She was a victim because her innocence and her curiosity in going out put her in a position where predators were able to take advantage of her.
Yeah.
Well, then I got to be the guy that says it's Dinah's fault. Okay, it's Dinah's fault. She should have never gone out in the first place.
I get it. I mean, you could say that.
I'm not saying she dressed up and went out to look to get raped.
Maybe guys shouldn't just defile women against their will. Maybe that should be the option they take, to not do that.
Yeah, but what if it was consensual from the beginning? What if it was a consensual thing?
To be clear, there is no word for "quote unquote" rape in the Bible used here. It's usually take her, lays with her.
We're not going to say that word, but okay.
I mean, yeah, I'm sorry.
Of course, in the Hebrew Bible, it's going to say he defiled her because it was pre-marriage. They were not married. But what if at that moment they met and they fell in love and they did this act, but it was consensual for both parties?
It doesn't matter, because that's the point of view.
I know it doesn't matter.
Earlier. Well, I'm saying the point of view, even if that was the case, nobody asked Dinah how she felt about it. Just Jacob, Nathan, if you read from verse 5.
Because she was probably like, "Don't kill him, Daddy. I love him, Daddy. Don't kill him." That's probably what was going on. So they're like, we're just not going to, just don't include anything she says. She has no voice in this thing. Just don't listen to her. We're going to go get him. We're going to go get him.
All right. Just, Nathan, read, because it's not as easy as you said it is.
And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. Now his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Jacob held his peace until they came. Then Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak with him. And the sons of Jacob came in from the field when they heard it, and the men were grieved and very angry, because he had done a disgraceful thing in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter, a thing which ought not to be done. But Hamor spoke with them, saying, "The soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. Please give her to him as a wife, and make marriages with us. Give your daughters to us, and take our daughters to yourselves. So you shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade in it, and acquire possessions for yourselves in it." Then Shechem said to her father and brothers, "Let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me I will give. Ask me ever so much dowry and gift, and I will give according to what you say to me. But give me the young woman as a wife."
So, yeah, you say the whole, "Daddy, don't hurt him. I love him." Like, that angle. Jacob doesn't say anything, man. He held his peace until his sons came back from the field. And obviously we know that, like, when you're shepherding and you're taking the livestock out, it's not like a 2-hour job. Like we were late recording because Josh was trying to collect his ducks. You know what I mean? Like he
was getting his ducks in a row.
Quite literally getting his ducks in a row. It takes, sometimes you go out for days to certain pastures and you take little journeys where they come and circle back. So his sons were out and they came back and man, Jacob's in action here. He says nothing until his sons come back. You know what I mean? And I don't know how to feel about that.
Maybe in their culture, and Jacob, you got to stop moving the mic. Just leave it here. Leave it there. It's fine, dude. You move it every second now. It's not running away. So maybe in Jacob's culture, maybe they just didn't have premarital sex.
No, they didn't. Absolutely, it was a whole thing.
You had to marry, and then
it was a bride price.
But in their culture, that's not a problem, and it became a problem. They realized, oh, these guys are offended, so let's come over to you and be like,
well, it could be exactly how it is nowadays. Exactly what you're saying. We have two different cultures. We have our culture where this is how we believe, right? We believe that the premarital sex is a sin, and to do it is completely wrong. So imagine being a family member and then hearing this happen. You don't care how much your sister, loves this guy. This guy has done something terrible, and he is the bad guy. They just, we'll get to that.
But I mean, I don't think it was even a cultural thing. Like I said earlier, I think it was known to not be good because even in the other cultures, in the Canaanite culture and the rest of the world, like marrying off a daughter, they came with a dowry, a price, and it was something, their virginity was something that was held as precious and not to be just thrown away. Like, especially somebody like Jacob who had a whole tribe and had a whole, they were a people and they believed. Now, the king was probably used to taking, and the prince was probably used to taking whatever he wants. Remember, that's why, Isaac lied about his wife, and so did Abraham. Because
Shechem was the prince of that land.
He had influence, and he was
they could have whoever they wanted.
But it says that they were angry because they defiled her and did a thing that ought not to be done, by lying with her. A thing which ought not to be done. It wasn't something that was it's just because of
who said this
culturally.
Well, no. Who said this? I get that it was the Bible, but the Bible's obviously
the sons of Jacob, they've done a thing by laying with Jacob's daughter. Like they were angry and they were grieved and very angry because they're done a disgraceful thing.
All would. If it was your sister in this situation, even if she loved the guy, you would still be very mad. That's what I'm trying to hit at. I get that the Bible says it, but the Bible's gonna obviously be on the side of the Hebrews, right? Because it's a Hebrew Bible, so it's gonna be on that side. So it's a little one-sided at the moment. It's not gonna choose the worldly side, which I'm not saying I agree with the worldly side, but if I was a lawyer looking at this, I have to see the whole picture. I have to see the whole point here.
I don't think that people need to be told by God specifically that rape is wrong. So I think that
but it doesn't say it. It's not saying it. Okay, I get that we can't. We agreed. Okay, everybody, we agreed that we weren't going to use that word. But Andrew just said that word.
It doesn't matter. Said not to say the word. The only one that said the word twice.
I thought we were going to make the episode explicit.
Okay, go.
We did. We're good. Basically, it's not for certain that that's exactly what happened. I am not agreeing that is what happened. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think it's that way.
The sons of Jacob have something to say in response to
I'm not reading this whole chapter.
No, you don't have to.
We could just kind of go through it.
I was literally going to say, so essentially, the sons of Jacob, specifically the two brothers of Dinah, like the blood brothers born like Simeon and Levi, essentially, they come up and they kind of deceptively answer Shechem and his father Hamor and they spoke deceitfully, saying that, we can't give you our sister to someone who is uncircumcised. Remember, the circumcision is a mark that marks our people separate, an instruction by God. But on this one condition, they'll give them to you. If you will become circumcised and every male of you is circumcised, then we will give you our sister, and we'll give our daughters to you, and you will give our daughters to us, and we will become one people. Very, very against what's supposed to be happening here. But notice how it's starting to become more than just take our daughter as wife. It's a mingling of the two cultures. It's a mingling of the two peoples, because you have to think about it. Shechem and Hamor, they look at the people of Israel. They're very wealthy. They're a big group. They're attracted. They want what they have as well. So from their side, they go back, and the words actually please Hamor and Shechem. They said, oh, if all we have to do is circumcise ourselves and we can get some of what they have and literally add them onto our city state, that literally makes them more powerful, more rich. They're like, cool. And they literally says that they went and spoke at the gate. Remember that phrase, at the gate of a city? That's like where they would convene and kind of speak about diplomatic events and things.
The town hall.
Yeah, it says Hamor and Shechem and his son came to the gates of the city and spoke with the men, saying, these men are at peace with us. Therefore, let them dwell in the land and trade in it, for indeed the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters as wives, and let us give them our daughters, only under one condition, right? Like, they wanted what they had to gain together. And that was against what God wanted.
That's a crazy move by making everybody.
Like, listen, guys, if we would all just circumcise ourselves, we would win the lottery.
Get them all circumcised, like and they still wind up getting murked. That's so mean. That's so mean. Like, you make them get circumcised just to kill them.
Such a painful thing to do.
Oh my man, that's like.
Yeah, well, Jacob's wrong. There with a large party, and I'm assuming these people maybe even know that, because probably Esau traveled through before, so they might know that this guy's connected with Esau, and Esau's got these 400 armed men always ready at arms, so they know that Jacob's not somebody to be trifled with.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. And this was deceitfully, and it was deceitfully for a specific reason. So Simeon and Levi, it says the men at this point, they agree to do this thing deceptively, and you have Hamor and Shechem kind of like excited, getting all his people riled up, and like, yeah, all we have to do is, circumcise ourselves, and we get all this stuff, and they're going to come and be one with us, and everything's going to be cool. Little do they know that what happens next is that deceptive gene that came down from, Rebecca to Jacob to now Simeon and Levi. Nathan, if you could read and finish off the chapter for us from verses 25 on.
Now it came to pass on the third day, when they were in pain, that two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, each took his sword and came boldly upon the city and killed all the males. And they killed Hamor and Shechem, his son, with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah from Shechem's house and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and plundered the city, because why not? Because their sister had been defiled. They took their sheep, their oxen, and their donkeys, what was in the city and what was in the field, and all their wealth. All their little ones and their wives they took captive, and they plundered even all that was in the houses. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, you have troubled me by making me obnoxious among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And since I am few in number, they will gather themselves together against me and kill me. I shall be destroyed, my household and I. But they said, should he treat our sister like a harlot?
Yeah,
let's murder and plunder
in retaliation. And now to be
after
fair,
making them all get circumcised.
So 3 days is important, because that's like if you go through any type of major surgery or major injury like that, scientifically or biologically, I should say, around the third day is like when the day you're most susceptible to like infection, that you're at the height of weakness, that it would have been like the toughest for most people in recovery. And you got old boys, Simeon and Levi.
You let them sit there for 3 days in pain and then killed them.
Make them think everything's all good. And then I think they probably came in with like
that adrenaline rush that when you see two guys rushing in and start slaughtering a bunch of people, you're going to have some sort of adrenaline rush that's going to be like, all right, PP, no more pain. And just pick up your sword and start.
Go, Jag, start PP, no pain.
Either way, you'll have some type of adrenaline rush to defend yourself in some sort of way. But you got to congratulate these two guys. I mean, like, whether they're the good guys or the bad guys in this situation, these two guys went on a rampage and just went all 007 times 2 on this whole city and just murked everybody, man. I mean,
14.
0014 or what are we talking about?
014 at that point.
I think that they probably had like their servants or whoever was part of their crew. I think they probably had like, there was more than just the brothers in the camps. Like they probably had some people with them. It wasn't just them, but it was a small number. They were weak.
You might be right.
Kill the retaliation and the depths of hatred and anger that these people had to go about and do something so ridiculous. It's kind of insane. And Jacob's not afraid. Jacob's always reactionary. He's never preventatively like stepping up to the plate. He's always answering after the fact and then trying to like, preserve himself a little bit. And he's more afraid that, now, yeah, you were able to take out one city, but what if everybody around here hears and they unite together and just decide to wipe us off the map? Like now we're done. We're undone. You made my life hard because you decided to go pillage and kill an entire city for your sister Dinah. Notice again how nobody's talking, like Dinah has nothing to say here. It's all about what everybody else has to say about how Dinah feels. I don't know. That's just wild to me. And Jacob is so upset. Like he remembers this later in like chapter 48 when he's given his blessing to his sons. When he talks about Simeon and Levi, he actually literally calls them instruments of cruelty and in their dwelling place. Let not my soul enter their council. Let not my honor be united to their assembly. For their anger, they slew a man, and in their self-will, they hamstrung an ox. Cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. Like, he doesn't forget this.
That's, yeah, that sucks for them.
Those some angry boys.
It just boggles my mind that they made everybody get circumcised just to kill them.
That's just petty, bro.
It's so wild. Why would you do that? Just kill them.
They're sneaky, man.
You don't have to make them do such a drastic surgery then kill them.
Oh, man. This story is
so
sad.
Mean.
It's sad all the way around. It's not good for anybody. But obviously, SAing somebody is probably the lowest of the low that you could do.
They did have a come up though because they plundered them houses.
They're just getting richer and richer. It's just like, what are we supposed to learn from that? That's terrible.
Well, the greater meaning to me is you learn how to hate thoroughly, and get your revenge upon thine enemies.
Well, here's the thing, all right. So you have the people that are falling. I'm gonna leave this with the Dinah incident. You have Dinah who was lacking guidance. You have Jacob who was not that authoritative figure that he probably should have been, and not completely obedient. And then you have the sons, Simeon and Levi, who took action upon themselves because they're probably not raised, like they're raised to do what they think is right in their own eyes. And we're going to see here in the next chapter too, like all of his sons are kind of wild. And as we go into next week, we get to start another big series. We're going to start Joseph part 1, which it's going to be one of the most famous stories in the Bible. And that's going to be great. But we're going to see that Joseph, in comparison with his brothers, like his brothers aren't the hottest, moral examples.
I love Joseph. I'm chosen. You all bow before me.
Yeah,
I love Joseph.
It's going to be great.
But this is where the 12 tribes of Israel come from. It's from this.
Yeah, this is some of the tribes of Israel that, again, God chose. And they're not chosen because they're superior or because they're some type of like special type of people. Humans are humans. But you see, God is faithful. And God has a plan. And honestly, even he is super patient with his people. And this is like where it starts and it's already not good. And they're obviously going to always be like, the good ones. And there's some great traits inside this family line that God really loves. But at the root, at the end of the day, we're all human. We all have faults. We're not by any means perfect. And it's only the grace of God that we even have salvation or a future. And it's just never more evident than when you look at the story of Jacob, his sons now, And as we go in through stories like this one with Dinah, which is so heavy, you know, it's so much like everybody's kind of at fault. And it's only because God is faithful that even as we continue into chapter 35, God has to come to Jacob and speak to him for a second. And Nathan, if you could read the first 5 verses
of chapter 35.
Mm-hmm.
Then God said to Jacob, "Arise, go up to Bethel and dwell there, and make an altar there to God, who appeared to you when you fled from the face of Esau your brother." And Jacob said to his household and to all who are with him, "Put away the foreign gods that are among you, purify yourselves, and change your garments. Then let us arise and go up to Bethel, and I will make an altar there to God, who answered me in the day of my distress and has been with me in the way which I have gone." So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods which were in their hands, and the earrings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the terebinth tree, which was by Shechem. Wait a second, that's a tree that we talk about.
The terebinth trees?
And they journeyed. And the terror of God was upon them. What are you all? Are you awakening now? And they journeyed, and the terror of God was upon the cities that were all around them, and they did not pursue the sons of Jacob.
So yeah, that's again, like I was just saying, God is having to like clean up messes. Josh heard the terebinth
tree.
Oh God, trees.
Hey,
God
stop
literally
pursuing them.
He put the terror of God was upon the cities that were around them as they moved. Because one, they heard that these guys just straight up murdered everybody.
No. They heard that they made everybody circumcise themselves and then killed them.
Oh, all of them together, united?
After wallowing for 3 days in pain.
You mean the whole tribe? Ever Jacob and all his sons, or was that just 2 of them?
It was 2 of them. They were still scared of them.
Yeah. The terror of God. I like, okay, that's a little further on, but I like how God comes to him and says, "Go up to Bethel and dwell there and make an altar to the God who appeared to you when you fled." Like, he's like, "Hey, get up and go. Like, I told you to leave. Go back to the place I told you to go to in the first place." And Jacob does something interesting here, and I'm not going to get preachy with it, but he goes to he cleans his household. He realizes, all right, we got to get right. We got to set everything in order. I'm going to meet and commune with God at this special place remember, he woke up from that dream at the Jacob's ladder and was like, how awesome is this place? You know, for him, that place was super impactful. And he's like, we need to purify yourselves, change your garments, put away your foreign gods. And he buries them in the dirt, and it signifies that he's trying to let that go and cleaning his whole house. He's finally taking like a leadership fatherly role and preparing them to go forward. And the fear of God went with them as they continued and they journeyed. And I just, you know, he built an altar there and called it El Bethel because God appeared to him when he fled from the face of his brother. Yeah, I
find it wild that he's like, "Come here, sons, hide under the trees."
He buries the gods, the foreign gods from all his servants. Because remember, he just took on a whole slew of new slaves he took from the city of Shechem, which I'm pretty sure they were Canaanites, so they had their own gods. Yeah. And there was a lot of that. And he's like, listen, everybody throw all that away. If you're part of us now, because you don't have any other men, because we killed them, just, you know, adopt our ways now. Cleanse yourselves. Hey, Rachel, remember those gods you took from Laban? Bury those too. Like, we don't need any of these. Like, get this out of our house. Let's correct ourselves as we go to.
How many of these trees were there? These trees seem like
area. They were throughout the land.
You just don't see them anymore.
I mean, Deborah, Rebecca's nurse, died.
I can't determine what, besides like a pineapple tree and just like a tree. I don't know the difference between trees. Like, I probably know like 2 or 3 types of trees.
Weeping willows. They have like the long strand.
You know what a Christmas tree looks like.
So that's what I said. Like 3 to 4, 5 max that I know.
Redwood trees are huge.
Palm trees.
Have you ever seen one?
Not in person.
How
about an apple tree? You clearly know what an apple tree looks like. Because it
doesn't look any different to me from just the only thing that I can tell about an apple tree is that it has apples in it. If it didn't have the apples in it, I wouldn't know. That's an apple. This is going to be an apple tree. It would just be a tree.
I mean, if you at a certain time of the year, you know more trees than other trees.
The amount of trees.
You know what's crazy? People think that trees' barks are brown, but they're gray.
The amount of
But
people,
we never make them gray when we're kids and drawing pictures of trees. It's always brown.
we're not a tree podcast.
We can be. That's the secret you guys didn't know. We've been a tree podcast all along. Our merch, it's Mom Ray trees.
Yes.
Wait till you hear this next verse. Deborah, Rebecca's nurse, died and she was buried below Bethel under the terebinth tree. So it is now called Alon Bachuth.
Alon Bachuth, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Can I read the part where God speaks to Jacob again?
Yeah, it literally God appeared to him again after the death of Deborah.
God said to him, "Your name is Jacob. Your name shall not be called Jacob anymore, but Israel shall be your name." So he called him his name Israel. Also God said to him, "I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall proceed from you, and kings shall come from your body. The land which I gave Abraham and Isaac I give to you, and to your descendants after you I give this land." Then God went up from him in the place where he talked with him. So Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he talked with him, a pillar of stone, and he poured a drink offering on it, and he poured oil on it. And Jacob called the name of the place where God spoke with him Bethel.
Which, again, he had already done. That's kind of, again, the story of how he called Bethel, which is the house of God. And it's super interesting to see the way that God still continues to say, I am God Almighty, be fruitful, multiply, kind of like going back to the original creation and you know, what he had chosen for his people to do, and now what he's doing for his chosen people again. He's like, listen, be fruitful, multiply, and then I would proceed to give you all the things I promised. And kings shall come from your body. And, you know, it's awesome, you know.
Be
He's
fruitful, multiply.
re-saying to what he said before, kind of like how God was doing even with Abraham, right?
Mm-hmm. He's reaffirming his covenant.
Thing.
To
Exactly.
continually, yeah, he's continuing to, and this is like, you know, after Jacob cleans himself, his whole camp, he purifies himself and he meets with God. God then reaffirms the blessing. He's like, listen, you came correct. You're here what you're supposed to be. And I will give you what I said I will give you. And I will continue to bless you. And I will make from yourself and your body a mighty nation.
And then Rachel dies in childbirth. Oh, no.
Yeah, then they journey through Bethel. And this is sad because Rachel was whom Jacob loved. He worked an extra 7 years. He worked 14 years to have her as a wife and was only ever able to have one son, Joseph. And now we see that she's pregnant again. And as they journey through Bethel, there was a little distance to go to Ephrath. Again, this is all areas in that same place. But it said that Rachel had a very hard labor. And it came to pass that when she was in hard labor, that the midwife said to her, "Do not fear, you will also have this son." So essentially, they're kind of letting her know, like, the one you're going to have because they wouldn't have known the gender until the baby was born back then, you know. So a hard labor, it would have been a comforting fact for her as she's going through this hard labor for her midwife to be like, you will have this son. Like, you're not going to lose this baby. That's all she cared about.
Well, you don't want to die in vain. That's, you know, so as long as something comes out of it, you can die in somewhat peace, like knowing at least my baby will survive.
And it's a very sweet moment. Like, as it says, as her soul was departing from her, Rachel's giving birth and she's literally dying in this moment. She names the child Ben-Oni, but I mean, his father comes in and names him Benjamin. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath. That is Bethlehem. That would be eventually Bethlehem, on the way there. And Jacob sets a pillar on her grave, which is Rachel's grave to this day. There's a pillar there. And then it says Jacob set a pillar, but then Israel journeyed, which is pretty much the whole group, and pitched his tent beyond the Tower of Eder. And it happened that when Israel dwelt in that land, that Reuben. So, okay, before I get to this part, his sons suck. Like, most of them are terrible. Let's just go ahead and, again, preface that. He just lost his, like, favorite wife. This is his love. She gives him a son. It's such a bittersweet moment. They travel, and his son Reuben lays with Bilhah, like his concubine. Like, one of, like, remember, he had 2 wives and 2 concubines. Reuben bangs his father's concubine.
No. What concubine maidservants are different things.
She became a concubine. She was a maidservant. I forgot which one was she for Rachel or for Leah.
Dude, I don't know. All I know is I'm still really sad about Rachel dying.
Yeah, it was
Either
a very
way,
sad moment. But
the
in the
son
moment of
does
his
this-
grief, he doesn't care.
But it doesn't say anything about it after. It's just like, hey, this
It
is
just
what
says that
this
he
kid
heard about
did.
it. He heard about it. Jacob heard about it.
It's like, oh, crap. Not again. Well, before we continue, I kind of want to go through an interesting kind of thing about, it's called the Jacob cycle. And
Okay.
it's like, it's split up into like A, B, C, D, E, and then F is the middle section. So
This makes
with
it worse.
A-
Hold on. This makes it worse. Bilhah was Rachel's maidservant who Jacob slept with. And so, like, while he's mourning, Reuben sleeps with her. I'm sorry. Continue.
Well, wedding crashes are a thing for a reason.
Gosh. Funeral crash?
So with A, so at the beginning of the cycle, so it's like a full cycle that comes full round. So at the beginning of the cycle, it starts, and Rebecca struggles. So Rebecca struggles in childbirth, and Oracle is sought.
Rachel?
Yeah, no, Rebecca. So Jacob.
So Isaac's...
Starting the trouble he's doing the cycle of Jacob.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Rebecca.
Pay attention.
I'm trying.
Rebecca struggles in childbirth, and then and then after A, there's B. The B is the interlude, strife, deception, basically a covenant with a foreigner. And then C is deception, fear of Esau, a flight from the land. And then D, an evening encounter with God at a sacred site near the border of Brekah. And then E is an internal cycle. Internal cycle opens. Arrival, kisses Laban at the border, wages, and then deception, and then Rachel being barren, Leah fertile. And then there's F. F is the middle point. So then after F, this is where the cycle starts to flip. Then we have E1, Rachel being fertile.
Dude,
so now
why do you even have labels of these? Just say what it
Because I have-
like bullet points.
these are bullet points.
What? Like what F is the middle? What are you?
Because I can't. I'm trying to picture. Because we don't have a picture that for everybody to listen.
Yes, we
so I'm
don't
trying
have
to
a
explain
picture.
it.
I don't know what you're talking about right now.
All right.
The cycle of Jacob.
So-
Okay, E1.
E1
It's
subsection
the
2.
opposite of
Okay.
E, I guess.
E1 is like it's going backwards. All right. So we go back to E, I guess. So
Okay.
E, the E before was Rachel being barren. Now it's Rachel's fertile. Jacob breeds herds, and then there's an internal cycle. It closes. There's a departure, kisses Laban at the border, and then wages and deception. And then there's D1, an evening encounter with God, and at a sacred site near the border of Brekah. And then C1, deception planned, fear of Esau, and then a bunch of gifts, and then returns to the land. And then B1, an interlude, strife, deception, covenant with a foreigner, which is what we had basically with the Dinah incident. And then there's the A1, the prophecy fulfilled, Rachel struggles in childbirth, death, and resolution. I don't know if you got any of that.
None of it.
So wait, now I got what he's saying. So what he's saying is that you could actually use the alphabet both forward and then backward. No, I'm just playing.
I'm just saying that
it's like-
every single
it's like
thing
there's
that
a
happened.
cycle. It's like
Listen.
it's like it happened and it flipped. The inverse kind of happened.
He went to his-
Exactly.
Or it happened
Everything that
again.
happened. Yes,
Yeah.
it happened again.
The hero's
Even with the blessings, the first cycle is Jacob's receiving all these blessings, and then the second cycle is Jacob giving away his blessings to Esau, right? And then so
That's an astute
there's-
observation. That's astute.
I'll send it to you, Andrew, and then you'll be able to, you guys can see kind of what I'm talking about.
E12.
I don't know why that knocks Andrew off. So Andrew's
Because I was already like, this is taking forever. Then he goes to E. Not only E, just like E number 1. And then E number 2.
Oh, that good. He really does have a whole thing.
There's a whole graph here.
But
Jeez.
if you could look at Andrew's notes, there's no numbers or anything. It's just bullet points.
That's not true. I have it separated into sections versus
It's like
chapters.
arrows, bullets.
There's chapters, subsections, and I'm very organized. How
No,
dare you?
you're not.
You know what? No more notes for you.
You didn't even send me the complete notes for this episode. Mine ended at H. There's just a letter H. That's the end of my notes.
Those are very nice, Josh. I like your notes a lot.
I can't see. It's whatever. No, it doesn't
it's
work.
The word of God. That's why. It's the word of God. It's too bright.
All right, guys.
It's Joseph Smith over here.
Only I can see it. Nobody else can see it but me.
I got these golden tablets, but nobody else can see it because if you see it, your head will explode.
This is what happened.
Now write this down.
All right, can we go talk about Jacob's 12 sons because it's like the 12 tribes of Judah?
All right, so Genesis chapter 35. We're going to end here with the story.
No, we got to end with the death of Isaac.
Listen, can I finish my sentence?
Yeah.
We're going to end the story with two things: A, the death of Isaac, and
no, that's B,
and B, Esau's descendants. Esau has a little bit of a chapter because, like I said earlier, next episode we're gonna start Joseph part 1. And in this episode, it's not going to be the final episode of Jacob because Jacob continues on.
There's a whole genealogy of Esau.
You're not reading the genealogy
There's
of Esau.
No way we're getting through all. There's so much there.
We're not. Don't worry. I got it in my completed notes. I have that I didn't give you. I have a summarization that I'll go into, and we'll just touch on it briefly. But the chapter 35 of Genesis, after we find out that Reuben, after the death of Rachel, lays with Jacob's, concubine, which is just terrible. There's laws against this eventually. Like in the Hebrew law, like you cannot lay with your father's. That's another way of uncovering your father's nakedness. Remember we talked about.
Do you think he got spanked?
Who?
Like disciplined by his father? I'm going to turn this around.
Yeah. Yes.
I know what you meant, and I know how it sounds.
Who got disciplined?
Do you think? No, it doesn't. It just says that Israel heard about it.
Well,
I don't know if it means Israel as in Jacob or Israel as like everybody heard about it.
Can we do the 12 tribes of Judah song?
Nathan, read the 12 sons.
This is a song. Do you know the song?
Do you know the song?
Yeah.
Sing it.
Now the sons of Jacob were 12. The sons of Leah were Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's maidservant, were Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's maidservant, were Gad, and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob who were born to him in the Padan Aram.
And will eventually
that's how the song ends?
That wasn't a song. All right.
Whenever you say the city of Padan Aram, it always sounds like a Star Wars city.
Padan Aram.
For me.
To me, it sounds like it's from, what's that? Dune. It's the Padan Aram. Whatever they say. I don't know what they call that dude.
Yo, we've lost in this episode, man. We gotta get back to it. Dude.
All right, let's get to the death of Isaac.
This is a big moment. He's a major patriarch, all right? And this is the only time, again, that Jacob and Esau kind of come back together. Now, Jacob came to his father at Mamre, or Hebron, essentially, where Abraham and Isaac dwelt, the land of his father. And in those days, now the days of Isaac were 180 years. So a lot of time has passed since Isaac thought he was going to die, and then Jacob deceived him and he'd been blind. So he'd been kind of blind this whole time, just living at home with Esau. And Isaac breathed his last and died. And
breathed his last.
And being old and full of days, his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Remember, kind of in contrast, the same thing, the way that, Isaac and Ishmael came together to bury Abraham. They came together, the estranged older brother and the inherited younger brother come together and bury the second major patriarch of the Israelite nation.
You think Esau at the funeral was like,
bro, where did you go?
He was like, did Reuben lay with Bilhah's father's concubine? That's kind of crazy.
Jacob,
what's wrong with
what's
him?
going on with your sons, bro?
Did you hear the new hot gossip?
You guys made a bunch of guys get circumcised and then killed them?
Listen, man, I've been hearing a lot of stories about you, bro. Are you all right? Is everything okay?
Your kids are obnoxious in this land amongst the Canaanites.
There's terror of them.
I want to know, is Ishmael still alive?
I don't think so. He died earlier.
Yeah, Ishmael would be way too old to still be alive.
No, he dies. It says in the other chapter, I believe.
All right, the family of Esau.
So, chapter 36 of Genesis.
Chapter 36.
Before we get into the story of Joseph, again, this is where we're going to end this episode today. Gives us the entire genealogy of Esau. Esau becomes a nation. Now, this is very important to note because we're not going to sit here and read every descendant and who begot who and who begot who, because that's pretty much what that whole chapter is. But being that Esau was a child of Isaac, a grandson of Abraham, God promised to make his descendant nations. From you will be nations, plural. And I think that one of the reasons that the record in this Bible is shown is to show that there is a fulfillment of God's word. And Esau's descendants did, in fact, constitute a nation. Now, Ishmael was promised in chapter 17, verse 20, to be a great nation, whereas Esau was just a nation. And that nation would be known as the nation of Edom, the Edomites. You're going to hear about them a lot throughout the rest of the Old Testament. They kind of suck. They're going to be in constant war, and they're going to constantly be a strife along with others against the children of Israel. They're going to be, actually, eventually, they're going to be completely wiped out. According to Malachi chapter 1, verse 3 through 4, because they're in continuous opposition with God's people. Now, another reason I believe that the genealogy was shown in chapter 36 was a way to show the 8 kings that come from Edom. So Esau, his children become kings. Now, those 8 kings were Bela, Jobed, Husham, Hadad, Salmale, Shaul, Baal, Hanan, and Hadar. Salmale is the word in Romanian for like this cabbage roll food that we eat. That's why we laughed. For those of you who do not know,
Samla is what I said. I didn't say Sarmale. You must be hungry.
I thought you said
a hungry boy.
Big back.
I do, in fact, have a big back. In contrast with the kings of Israel, kings of Edom attain the reign through human efforts. Meanwhile, the Israelites, the kings that would reign there, their enthronement was attained through divine effort. The 8 kings of Edom also reigned well before there were any kings in Israel. So, yet by the 8th king of Israel, which is Jehoshaphat in 1 Kings chapter 22, there was no longer any kings in Edom. So it's just a way to show that, God fulfilled his promises, but if they continue their opposition with God's laws and God's ways, you saw Esau himself, he married into the Canaanites. They had a different way of living. Esau's personality and the traits that we talked about, his desire for personal gratification, he didn't actually desire for anything of the Lord. Jacob had his faults, but at his roots, he had attributes which were God found to be sincere. Meanwhile, Esau was more of a selfish and very, for other people type individual, which God did not like. And you saw that kind of translate to his descendants. The only descendant of note, as I was reading through because I did read through this genealogy, which I thought was funny, is in 24. Like, you're reading through them, like the chiefs of Korah, the descendants of Anan, whatever, and you get through chapter 30 or 24, or excuse me, chapter
Verse
36, 24. These were the sons of Zibeon, both Ajah and Anah. This was the Anah who found the waters in the wilderness as he pastured the donkeys of his father Zibeon.
Oh, wait, no, whoa. It's the Anah that found the water in the wilderness as he pastured the donkeys of his
You're
father
reading,
Zibeon?
nobody else has any, not the kings, none of them said anything interesting about them.
This must have been a wild story back then. Like, they had
this was the Anah.
This is the story that we talked about for millennia. You remember when Anah found water in the wilderness for his donkeys? That's crazy.
Yeah, these were the sons that were chiefs. These were the sons that were king. But Anah, bro, that was the
I
one.
think
that
it was
had
Moses. Moses was just trying to make his people feel good as they were about to go into the wilderness, being like, if there's water out there, there just is. There's a donkey, and this guy found water for his donkey, so we'll find water eventually, guys.
believe it or not, I did some research and it goes way deeper. Like there was this whole Jewish study about the translation of donkey versus water and like the Jewish word for yom versus yem. And I'm not going to get into it. I don't have the energy.
Why would you mention it if you want to?
Well, I'm just saying that if you want to look further, I'm sure there's something deep there, but that's all I'm going to say about it.
What's
is that
the deepness?
I don't know. I didn't do the research necessary to discover it.
Are donkeys the one that carry water in their humps?
No. Oh, no, they're not.
I know. They're camels.
Okay. All right. And this is where we're going to end today's episode.
This is ending Jacob, guys. We just deaded Jacob.
No, we ended Isaac. We're officially completed with the majority of Jacob's story, and we're going to begin with Joseph's story next week. Next time we record, it'll be Joseph chapter 1, and man, it's just going to go. It's going to pick up dramatically from there. I mean, we go from Joseph straight into Exodus and Moses, and it's going to. I'm extremely excited.
We're almost at Jesus.
So
just
far
a
away.
Little bit.
We're so far away from Jesus.
What I want to know is why did Jacob's camp have a bunch of foreign gods among them?
Because remember when I said, first of all,
his children suck.
First of all, his children suck. Second of all, when they left Laban, remember she stole her father's god. Thirdly, Simeon and Levi had just sacked a whole city of Canaanites and stolen all their goods and women, which I'm pretty sure
this is just basically gods. Like Jacob saying it without really saying it. He's confronting them without saying like, hey, I know you guys did this and took these things, but he's just like addressing everybody like, hey, if whoever's got these gods, bring them to me.
Yeah, essentially. He's like, put them away. We're going to meet with God, the true God.
Okay. Yeah,
now,
I just wanted to bring that up.
A greater meaning to this episode is tough. I guess I'll start it off.
Well, this is like 3 episodes in what? I don't even remember what we started on.
Jacob meeting Esau, the Dinah incident.
Okay. And then we went into the whole
what happened
violation.
After? Yeah, I mean, and then Jacob goes back to Bethel because he was on his way anyway. It was one story.
His kids are terrible.
We lost it over there with Sukkoth.
No, we didn't. I think we found our way through it. You lost it.
Suck it.
Stop.
But that's what it is.
It's SUCCOTH. What's the greater meaning, Andrew? As you breathe super heavily.
I don't even know. Can I not go first this time?
No, you have to.
No.
That's the
you have to go first. You've always gone first. This is your.
Josh,
this is you.
This is you're the one that does like the whole pulling together the theme. I don't.
Yeah, you do the preachy part.
Yeah, and Josh does his version of it, and then I do my version of it.
I think we can learn a lot from Jacob's life. We can learn a lot from how he struggled, from how he encounters God. I look a lot with his first meeting at the Jacob's Ladder when he sees, oh, this place is awesome, and oh, God has to be here. But I believe that encounter was in signifying God showing him that because I blessed you, I'm going to be with you where you go. Despite the fact that you're running in the wilderness away from your brother, I'm with you. And as he journeys and as he goes on throughout his life, especially in this episode where we covered, God said, just follow my instruction and I'll be with you. And we learned that when he doesn't follow the instruction of the Lord to a T, and he makes sidebars, and he makes side missions, and he kind of goes away and is continuing his deceptive ways, you leave yourself open to attacks from the enemy, and your family can suffer for it. And Dinah suffered for it, and his sons encountered and did something awful. And Jacob realized that, and he had this moment, his final moment, when God says, come and meet me at Bethel, where I met you, and you made that covenant with me. Come back like I told you to. He has this moment where he's finally like, he takes that role that he's supposed to have in the family. He's like, put away all the gods, change your garments, change your clothes, look presentable. We're going to meet with God. And I think that was such a moment of growth, and what we can learn from that. The greater meaning behind the story is that despite sometimes you might go through something horrific, despite sometimes, things you might have to try to control things and it doesn't happen the way you want it to, God, if he promised he'd bless you and you obey him, he's going to bring you back and he's going to make things right. But I think that, because we've said that before, but I think that we have to take some ownership in the fact that we need to clean out our houses. We need to put ourselves in order and our affairs in order. When we go to meet with God, if we want God to speak to us, if we want to see the fullness of God's blessings, us on our part, we need to go inside and clean out all those idols that we have in our lives, change the dirty clothes that we have. The only way we can do that is through God's Son, that's Jesus Christ, and the sacrifice that he made was so that we can wash ourselves and we can repent of our ways and actually take full advantage of the blessings that God has given us. That's what I see through this story. Even though we saw a horrific event with Jacob's daughter, his sons are wild and he doesn't know what to do with them. They're murdering cities. They're sleeping with his concubines, and it's not going to get any better for him. But God said, I'm going to bless you. And he remains faithful. Even when we're not faithful, he is faithful. That's greater meaning for me.
Well, that's a good greater meaning. That's a good greater meaning.
It was like
my greater meaning.
He kept talking. He kept talking until he came up with something. That's what he did.
And then he used Jesus.
Going Jesus.
When in doubt, Jesus is always the answer. Yeah. You got to learn that.
Amen. I'm going to talk about the women of Jacob's camp.
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you.
For me, the greater meaning with a lot of, like, I guess if you're a female and you're listening to this, or even if you're a male, this could be taken in different ways. We have so many different characters. A lot of women, when they think of reading from the Bible and they're looking for female characters, they're looking for, like Esther or
Ruth,
exactly. Like they're looking for those characters, right? But these ladies, there's a lot in this story. You got Leah and Rachel and their constant back and forth about trying to have children to please not only their husband, but it was kind of like a woman's main duty at that point in time is for them to be able to carry on the name and bring forth children to the family line. That's how you brought your value as a woman. Obviously there's other things as well, but that was one of like the main things if you're a woman. But and then we have the story of Dinah, and this is honestly like the average story. I don't want to say it's average, but like my example before, it was a girl trying to go out and have fun in the city. And we do have to be careful because, I mean, later on, it even says in Leviticus and in other places, just like how Andrew said, like how a Hebrew woman should present herself. But it's not even like, if we take this in a different context, it's also how we as believers should present ourselves. Whether you're male or female, there's a certain way that you want to present yourself, not only when you're going in front of the Lord. Obviously, when you go in front of the Lord, if you're going to church or if you're going to an important setting, right? You dress in an appropriate manner. But even when you live your everyday life, like, how do you want to be seen, right? In some areas, it was like she was being portrayed as like, you really, like Jacob, you really want your daughter to be seen as a harlot. You really want your daughter to be seen like one of these Canaanite women. When they thought about these women, they thought about these women, like also the way they dressed. It was very provocative, very, very in a sort of way that did not show the Lord, that did not bring honor to God. So if you care about yourself, and I know I'm bringing this into like how you clothe yourself, and I'm not saying that this is why it happened with the Dinah innocent. So this is a whole different thing. It reminded me of that subject. Is if you want to be portrayed in a certain way, you have to dress that way. If you want people, like if you're in a business point, if you want people to take you seriously, don't dress up in pajama clothes and go to work and start doing a bunch of business meetings, because nobody's going to take you seriously. Dress for the occasion. If you're going out to party, obviously you're going to dress like you're going out to party, right? But we as believers, we're not going to always dress. Not always. We're never going to dress to go out to party, right, Andrew? Nod your heads. Yes, we're never going to dress to party.
I party.
Okay, I party all the time.
Go to the family reunion and, play some volleyball.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about more like the clubbing type of party. But that's kind of like what these situations kind of bring to me. Like, if look at these people and learn from them, right? Learn from their situations, learn from what's going on. Don't only look at other people in the Bible that are big names. There's more stories at play, and there's more lessons to be learned throughout all these even smaller stories. I was telling people about the Dinah incident, even from my church, and the majority of the people that I was talking to, they know the story of Jacob, they know the story of Abraham, but when I brought the Dinah incident, like the majority haven't heard. And not that I wasn't talking to like a whole congregation, just a couple people. And then when I told them the story, they were bewildered, or even beguiled was a good word. They were beguiled by this.
They were not beguiled.
What is with you with that word?
He's obsessed with using it because he doesn't know the definition.
But there's a lot more to the Bible than just the main stories. Like, there's a lot of crazy stories in the midst of it, and also dress appropriately. That's all I gotta say.
Is that your greater meaning? Well, what was she wearing? She was asking for it.
Cranky old man. Dress better. That's your greater
Yeah,
meaning.
there's a lot of crazy, just one verse.
My wife
stories,
was
like
just
the Anna.
My wife was just telling me, like, you must be becoming an older man, because I saw this guy earlier today. It's hot out here. I'm sure it's hotter where you guys are, but out here it's about like somewhere around 90 degrees, and it was sunny. And there was just this dude riding this BMX bike in jeans and no shirt and like, these big headphones. And I looked at my wife, I was like, if it's hot out and he's got no shirt on, why is he in jeans? Why not just wear shorts? Like, what's the reason of the jeans? So it's just, maybe I'm just getting older and I'm just
Curb
like,
rash.
you need to dress better.
Okay. So I was really paying attention to all that. I kind of got thrown off for what my greater meaning is going to be, but I came back to what my greater meaning is going to be. I'm going to focus on one of the highlights of the story we read tonight, and basically Jacob and Esau's meeting, and how it kind of parallels. And I look at the meeting so Jacob did so much wrong to Esau, took his birthright, took his blessing, and ran off for many, 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 many years. And I can't help but to see a parallel from when Jesus told a certain story about what's called the prodigal son. And the only reason I say that is because there's two things that kind of almost mirror each other. And that's verse 4 in Genesis 33. But Esau ran to meet him, embraced him, and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And then in the prodigal son story, there's a part that says, but while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. In our lives, we are human beings, and obviously, we make so many mistakes. We fall away from God. Like, our relationship with God and our path to getting to know the Lord, it's not, because of our nature, it's not a direct path, right? You're gonna have your moments where you essentially fall away. And whenever we mess up before God and whenever we sin, our first reaction is, well, Adam's first reaction and Eve is to run and hide, run away from God, kind of stay away. I'm not going to go to church no more. I'm not going to read the word no more. I'm a sinner. You know what? I'm not doing this because I feel like if I do, I just feel too guilty to even get close to the Lord. But yet we see that the moment you do decide to come back to the Lord, because of Jesus Christ's love for you, the Lord will never turn away. And this is like the first example of that. When you come and you truly humble yourself in repentance before God, God will come at you with open arms and give you a kiss, lift you up, give you strength, change you, give you the strength to move forward, give you the strength to overcome the things that was troubling you before, fill you with unimaginable joy, faith. If you feel like you just can't face the mundane, everyday battles of life that is just wearing you down, you go towards the Lord and he embraces you. He gives you the courage to face life head on, and he gives you the strength to overcome whatever you're going through. And I'm saying this speaking to myself, because a lot of times myself, I find that my first instinct is always to turn away from God whenever I'm going through something rough. But in fact, I should be running towards the Lord and repent of my sins. And I'm not going through bad things because I'm going through things because life is like that. Life is full of ups and downs. But the beautiful thing is that Jesus will always have his arms wide open waiting for you. And he's ready to lift you up, kiss you on the cheek, and ready to bless you, and ready to wipe those tears from your eyes. And that's my greater meaning.
He's
Nice.
wiping the tears from my eyes right now.
All right.
That was beautiful. That was, wow. So
Beautiful connection.
there you have it, guys. The story.
So much.
There's so much in this.
So much has happened in this episode.
Finally, we ended Abraham.
Isaac, I mean, we haven't really... I dropped my bottle. We haven't really touched so much about the conclusion and the finishing of Isaac, but I mean, we did complete his life here in this episode as well. Kind of brushed over it with a couple of the other events and talked more about Esau at the end there, but Isaac
Isaac didn't have a very crazy life.
the wells.
He dwells outside
He dug the wells.
the wells, and he was a
Passive
man
aggressively
outside.
dug the wells.
Listen, he almost was sacrificed. He
Yeah,
is one of the
the
patriarchs.
best parts of his
He was
story
faithful.
was
I love-
part of other people's stories.
I love
Right, that's the best part of his story.
I love that. That means that he just remained steadfast, faithful, and obedient to God. He didn't have any of these wild Dinah incidents
And
in his
blind.
life. I mean, he did, yeah. I mean,
Bro, his son was a furry monster.
I mean, both of his sons. But I mean, this isn't the end. This is the end of Isaac, but this isn't the end of Joseph, or this isn't the end of Jacob.
Yeah,
Sorry, this is.
get it together.
We're gonna
There's so
start the
many
story
names.
of Joseph as being the main character here in the next. Jacob's story is going to continue throughout Joseph's story, and it doesn't really end until the end of Joseph's story.
Yeah.
I'm very excited because with this story, we're going to end the book of Genesis. I don't know how many parts it's going to be broken up into just yet because everybody knows the story of
it's
Joseph,
so
but
crazy.
again, just like with every story of the Bible, when you get into it and you get into details, there's so many awesome details that are missed.
Did you know Joseph lived in Egypt?
Oh my gosh. I'm super excited. The more we're getting further in, the more excited I am. And
We got so much.
we got
with
Joseph, we got Moses, we got
my
Joshua.
goodness.
This is it's gonna snowball and it's not gonna
Yeah,
stop.
but Joseph might end up being a 5-parter.
I don't know about that, but we're so happy for you guys that have followed us up until now, and all you new listeners out there. If you like what you hear and you want to support us, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow, leave us that 5-star review. Tell your friends about us. Share us on social media we're on all listening platforms. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're soon to be up on YouTube. We're gonna have our videos up with some background, with some videos up on YouTube as well.
Definitely definitely share us. It's not just from an angle of like we want to be the most popular. That's not why we started this. It's just that we are passionate about this, and when you are telling, share what makes us so different and so interesting is that we're not just like some average Bible study. It's not like we're a Bible study at all. We're reading the Bible. It's 3 guys getting together, reading the Bible, getting into it, and having this kind of round table type of feel. This is what it's so I would say interesting about this. It's live, right? Right.
Okay, Josh.
All right, we're gonna stop recording.
You're
now.
not a salesman, buddy.
Hey,
It's just good, guys.
we obviously covered a lot, and we might have
It's
missed.
good stuff.
We missed.
I
a
am
lot.
a salesman.
Please send us your
Good
greater
stuff,
meeting.
guys.
Send us your greater meeting at greater meeting podcast.
I promise you, it's just 3 of us.
All right,
There's actually 15, but
This is a 15-man production.
yeah, the other what's 15 minus 3?
12?
The other 12 just don't exist.
For some reason, Simeon and Levi have been gone for a couple days, and they're just... That was a bad joke. All right, guys.
man.
Thank you so much for listening. Can't wait
late.
to hear...
Look out for that merch.
Look at...
You know, like the honks.
Yeah, we're done. Bye-bye.